In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to create this cute cosmetic bag. This pattern was created keeping in mind our male friends. That's why I decided to add this cute decal on the front. This is a really simple and quick sew, but I know that often we are looking for something that we can make for our male friends and family members, and it's hard to find a pattern that is suitable for men and boys. So I decided to quickly come up with a design that I think any man in your life would be happy with. This pattern, it's a free pattern, so you can get all the measurements and all the notes to the pattern by following the link in the description box below. That will take you to a place where you can download the PDF file. It doesn't involve a lot of supplies. The full supply list will be also listed in the file, so you can download the file, review it, and make sure that you have all the supplies needed to complete the project. Finished size of the cosmetic bag is 9 inches in width, 5 inches in height, and it's about 2.5 inches deep. So that's the final measurements. Now if you would like to see me creating this cosmetic bag, please keep watching. So here I will run through all the supplies needed really quickly. You don't really need that many pieces. You just need 4 cuts of waterproof canvas. I'm using waterproof canvas because I want it to be water resistant, and it also can be washed if needed. So that's the material I'm using for this cosmetic bag. I also like the stability that it gives the project, so you don't need to use any interfacing. So what we're gonna need, 4 pieces of waterproof canvas that are 12 inches in width and 7.5 inches tall. A piece of zipper that is at least 12 inches long, and I'm using zipper number 5. You can use zipper number 3, but I think the more substantial zipper gives it more manly look. So also I'm using a zipper pull that it's compatible with my zipper tape, and I'm gonna be using a 8-inch piece of webbing tape that it's 1/2 inch in width to create a little handle for the bag. We're gonna start with connecting our panels with the zipper tape. As you know, I prefer to work with the zipper tape that doesn't have the zipper pull on, but if that's something that makes you uncomfortable, just insert your zipper pull before you start sewing the zipper tape onto the panels. So now we're gonna take 2 panels, and I like to start with the front, so I'm gonna make sure I have the one that has the decal attached to it. You're gonna have the panel right side up. You're gonna take your zipper tape and place it teeth side down along the upper edge of the panel, and just quickly secure it with clips. When you have that done, you're gonna take another panel that's gonna serve as our lining panel, and you're gonna place it right sides together and align it with the top edge of our front panel, making sure that the zipper tape, it's not shifting. So just make sure that all 3 layers are secured and aligned. After you have that done, you're gonna take it to the machine, and you're gonna sew along this edge with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. When you have the zipper tape attached, you're gonna open the panels, and you can take it to the ironing board and iron the panels open so the zipper tape is exposed. And then you're gonna top stitch along this edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. When you're ironing it and you do use a heat transfer vinyl, just make sure you keep that in mind. Try not to iron over it. After you have those two panels top stitched to the zipper, we're gonna attach the other two panels. So you're gonna take one of the panels and place the zipper tape teeth side down and align it with the top edge of that panel. And then take the last four panel and having it right side down, so it's right sides together to the other lining panel. We're gonna now align all three and secure them with clips. When you have those panels attached, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew along this edge with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. Afterwards, you're gonna open those panels, press them to expose the zipper tape, and you're gonna top stitch along the seam with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that you have all four panels attached to the zipper, you're gonna put your zipper pull on. I like my pouch to close from right to left, so that's how I'm gonna insert it. I'm gonna bring it around halfway through. Now I want to prep the unit to be able to box the corners and the top edge. To do that, I'm gonna mark the seam lines first. So the seam is 3/8 of an inch, so that's how I'm gonna mark it. Now that I have my seam allowances marked, I'm gonna mark a 1 inch square on measuring from the seam line on the outside corners. Now that we have the outside corners marked, we can cut them out. You can cut them out if you feel comfortable. You can cut the outer and lining together. If you rather measure separately, just repeat the same technique on the inside. Just place it lining side up, measure the seam allowances, and then measure 1 inch squares measuring from the seam allowances line. Now that you have the outside corners cut out, we're gonna work on marking our top boxing. You want to use the seam allowance line and measure from it, and the second point of reference, it's going to be the middle of the zipper. So you want to make sure that you have the inch mark in the middle of the zipper, and that your 1 inch ruler is aligned with the seam allowance line. And when you have that mark, now you can cut the top out. Make sure you don't destroy your fabric shear, so I'm just gonna cut it up to the teeth of the zipper and then finish up my cut with just regular scissors. Now we're gonna secure our zipper tape with just melting the cut end. Also, at this point, we want to make sure that our zipper is not gonna split, so we're gonna just hand tack it on each end. Now when you have your zipper secure, you can open it a little bit because we're gonna now work on finishing up our project. So what we want to do, we want to put the two outer panels together and two lining panels together. So make sure that the outer panels are together. Align the bottom, clip it, now clip the sides, and repeat that with the lining. Now that you have everything clipped, you want to make sure that you're gonna leave unsewn space in the bottom of the lining, so mark that with pins. I like to sew around 1.5 inches on each side and just leave the remaining space unsewn. Now that I have all the panels clipped together, the outers together and the lining together, I marked my opening in the lining. I'm gonna take it to the machine and I'm gonna sew on the along the clip edges with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length, and a back stitch on the beginning and end of each seam. Make sure to leave the opening unsewn. Now that all our sides are sewn, we're gonna work on boxing our corners. You can start with the outside corners, just nest the seam allowances against each other. I find that that gives me the best results. And when you're doing that, just make sure that the bottom seam allowance is folded the same direction. Bottom corners are boxed and clipped and ready to be sewn. Now we're gonna work on the top corners, and before we're gonna clip the fabric together, we wanna attach our handle. Depending on where you like your handle, I like it by the zipper pull when the zipper is closed. So I'm just gonna take a peek inside my bag, and I see my zipper pull going this direction, so that's the side I would like the handle to be attached to. So I'm gonna take this corner, put it upwards, and take the webbing tape, making sure that it's not twisted. I'm gonna insert it above the zipper. So I want to make sure that I'm inserting it in a hole where I can see the right side of the zipper. That's going to be the outside. And I want to place it in the corners. Making sure I have around 1/4 of an inch of the webbing tape sticking out through my corners. Now that I have that done, I'm gonna temporarily clip it in place so it's not gonna shift. I'm gonna make sure that my seam is in the middle of the teeth of the zipper, and then I'm gonna pull my lining fabric, again making sure that the seam is aligning with the middle of the teeth of the zipper, and clip all the layers together. And when we're gonna sew it, we're gonna sew all those layers all together. So now that we have that done, we can finish up boxing the other side. So you want to do the same thing. You want to make sure that the seam is in the middle of your zipper teeth. Pull the lining and the outer panels together, and clip in place. So now that you have all your corners clipped and ready to be boxed, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew all 6 seams with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length, and make sure you're gonna backstitch well on the beginning and on the end of each seam. After all the corners are sewn, you can trim the extras of the webbing tape. Just make sure you're gonna melt it afterwards so it's not gonna unravel. And now it's time to turn our project right side out. After you turn the project right side out and you pushed all the corners out, just inspect it, making sure that everything looks good and the project looks up to your satisfaction. When you think everything looks good, we can now close the lining. So you're gonna pull the lining out, and you're gonna pull on the opening, forcing the raw edge to fold inside. You can take it to the iron and iron it, or you can secure it with pins, making sure that we are aligning the 2 edges nicely, because we're going to be using a small seam allowance and we want to make sure that we're gonna catch both sides. When you have this secured, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna top stitch along the opening with 1/16 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. After the opening in the lining is closed, place the lining back in the bag. Make sure that you push the corners into the corners of the outer of the bag. To shape the back, you're gonna pull on the corners, making sure you are grabbing the lining and the outer. And your back is completed. I hope you enjoyed this project, and you're gonna try to make one of those pouches yourself. If you do, please make sure to share the results with me on my social media. The link to my Facebook group and to my Instagram is in the description box below. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave a comment below. Till the next time.